In Bolivia, the people of Santa Cruz demand accountability for those responsible for the attack on the headquarters of the Single Union Federation of Farm Workers amidst the political tensions facing the region. In Spain, the healthcare workers take to the streets to reject the public health policies of the Community of Madrid. Turkish authorities disclosed the identity of the alleged perpetrator of the attack in Istanbul. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. In Bolivia, the people of Santa Cruz demand punishment for those responsible for the attack on the headquarters of the Single Union Federation of Farmer Workers in the midst of the political tensions facing the region. On Sunday, farmers of Santa Cruz described as an act of terrorism the burning of their headquarters in Santa Cruz and denounced the facts at a national and international level. They also requested that those arrested during the violent events be prosecuted, so accountability be determined and the facts be clarified. In this sense, the union leaders extended a call to the prosecutor's office to find the intellectual actors of this attack, who in their opinion financed the violent activities in the department of Santa Cruz. In Colombia, authorities report the murder of a social leader in the municipality of Nuquí, in the department of El Chocó, this Sunday. The victim was Armando Janipe Cabrera, who mediated an argument and was stabbed. Authorities emphasize that Janipe died due to the seriousness of the wound he received. Armando Janipe was a recognized social leader who stood out for his struggle for the recognition of the rights of indigenous communities. In this context, according to the Institute for Development and Peace Studies, this will be the 160th social leader murdered so far this year, 2022. The president of Argentina, Alberto Fernandez, confirmed the delivery of an end-of-year bonus to the country's workers. The Argentine president, during his visit to France to participate in the Paris Forum for Peace, and after meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron, announced that his government will give out year-end bonuses. The president of Argentina did not give further details about the measure and assured that the details will be defined after his return to Argentina, and pointed out that the decision responds to the need to support those affected by the high inflation and the decrease of purchasing power. In the interview, he welcomed the holding of primary elections in his country to define the parties and candidates eligible for the 2023 presidential elections. Democrats won control of the U.S. Senate with 50 seats, following the victory of lawmaker Catherine Cortez Masto in the state of Nevada. Following Democrat Mark Kelly's victory in Arizona, this result gives the victory to the Blues, regardless of what happens in Georgia's runoff election, to be held on December the 6th, given that Vice President Kamala Harris has the vote to break any tie. Cortez Masto, the first Latina in the Senate, was considered the most vulnerable due to the popularity of the Republican Adam Laxalt. Now we move on to other topics. African countries have called for more climate adaptation finance to increase food production at the ongoing 27th session of the Conference of the Parties, COP27, held in the Egyptian coastal city of Sharm el-Sheikh. Food insecurity and climate change are major challenges in Africa. Extreme weather patterns and drought have had serious impacts, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, which is heavily reliant on rain-fed agriculture. Officials called for more efforts to help the farmers adapt to climate consequences so that they can be better protected. Small-scale farmers produce one-third of the world's food but receive only 1.7% of climate finance. Smallholders provide up to 80% of the food supply in Asian and sub-Saharan Africa, so that the experts believe that with the right affordable financial schemes, good agricultural practices and proper governance policies, Africa not only has the ability to feed itself, but also the world.
We see how one severe climate event can wipe out not just the crop, but the whole livelihood of a small-scale farmer. So the time is now to make these changes. We need to invest in financing, in value chains. We need to work together with governments, with the private sector to create the market, as well as support smallholder farmers to come together in cooperatives to increase their power, not only of production, but also to increase the quality of the crops.
Now we address their topics. Authorities of the People's Republic of Lugansk revealed that the Western countries conduct experiments with narcotics in Ukraine. The chief physician of the Republic of Lugansk assured that the experiments are carried out in Ukraine to reduce the costs of volunteers and specialists. The professor of the Lugansk Medical University also assured that the Kiev regime tested medicines in laboratories located in the Lugansk People's Republic, developing narcotics for the benefit of the West, mainly the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. He also revealed a plan of Western pharmaceutical companies to conduct blind tests on a drug requested by the NATO defense complex in Kiev. We'll take a short break, but first, remember you can follow us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news, updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Spain, health professionals take to the streets to reject the public health policies of the Community of Madrid. Neighbors and health personnel of Madrid joined this Sunday a march against the plan of destruction of primary care promoted by Isabel Díaz Ayuso's government. According to the demonstrators, the plan proposes a reorganization of out-of-hospital emergencies, and they denounce what they consider illegalities on the part of Madrid's health ministry, which is forcing an abusive minimum service of 100%. The different social groups of the protests assure that they are not only defending the right to public health care, but also the right to a fairer and more democratic society.
We demand an overturn without any condition whatsoever. You cannot have three different models of assistance depending on where you live, because we all have the right to the same things regardless of where you live. So it cannot be that depending on where you are, you have the right to a doctor in person or plasma or neither of the two.
I am here because in Spain, specifically in Madrid, but in all of Spain, doctors have a problem. We have a problem. We have poor working conditions and there are fewer and fewer of us. Right now, in the next few years, 80,000 of 260,000 doctors who are in the national health system are going to retire, and if no measures are taken by all the authorities, central government and autonomous authorities, the health system is going to collapse, and this is an evidence that they have been seeing it for years, and they are not taking decisions. They have us here facing each other while they do not do their duty.
In the United Kingdom, the arrival of more than 970 irregular migrants who crossed the English Channel on Saturday brings to more than 40,000 the number of people who arrived in the country by this route this year. According to the British Ministry of Defence, the migrants were traveling on board 22 rubber boats that were intercepted at sea by border patrol vessels and taken to port on the south coast of England. The data provided by the authorities put the number of migrants so far this year at 40,885. In the face of the new wave of migrants arriving in the country, the immigration system was forced to house many of the asylum seekers in hotels paid for with the taxpayers' money, after complaints of overcrowding and poor living conditions in the processing centers. Home Secretary Suella Braverman called the arrival of the migrants an invasion, and promised to tighten asylum laws. On Monday, Turkish authorities disclosed the identity of the alleged perpetrator of the attack in Istanbul. The head of the Interior Ministry strongly supports the Kurdish militias. Minister Süleyman Soylu presented a Syrian national identified as Al-Ham al-Bashir, who is allegedly part of the armed wing of the Kurdistan Workers' Party and the Democratic Union Party based in the northern Syria. In addition to the detainee, the Interior Minister said that there are other 45 people under investigation by the police. They are being investigated for the attack that killed 5 people and injured 81 others on Sunday in a central street in Istanbul.
Of course, in the first investigations, it will may be wrong for us to say with certainty that this is terrorism. But the first developments, the first information that the governor conveyed to us, there is a smell of terrorism in here. And as of now, there is much ongoing. The first indications are that it was a woman who played a role in this.
Turkey's vice president said 6 Turkish prosecutors are leading the investigation into the deadly blast and that authorities will not rest until the culprits face justice.
Crime scene investigation continues at full speed. We have 8 prosecutors and 6 prosecutors at the Forensic Medicine Center continuing their efforts. These numbers will be increased if necessary, and all logistical support, both judicial and administrative, will be provided in all dimensions of security. Whoever is behind these incidents, no matter whoever they are, not just within the borders, but also even if they go to the other end of the world, they will be caught, and just as we have caught other terrorists, and they will be brought to Turkey, they will be brought to justice, and they will be held to account at all costs.
In an official communique, the Venezuelan Ministry of Foreign Affairs extended the nation's condolences to the people and government of Turkey following the deadly explosion in Istanbul. The communique also read that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela trusts in the actions of the Turkish authorities to clarify the facts and to establish the due responsibilities of the case. Venezuela categorically condemns this event and maintains its principled position of absolute condemnation of terrorist acts, methods, and practices. In Syria, the Al-Shayrat air base, located in the center of the country, was the target of a new Israeli attack. According to local media, Israeli Air Force fighter jets fired missiles from Lebanon airspace at the base located about 15 kilometers southeast of the city of Homs. Sources indicate that the Syrian anti-aircraft defenses responded to the attack, intercepting some of the projectiles launched against the airfield. With this incident, there are now 28 attacks by the Tel Aviv government against Syrian positions registered in 2022. In this regard, Syrian authorities urged the Security Council of the United Nations to issue a public condemnation of the constant Israeli aggressions, which threaten regional and international peace and security. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. The meeting of the President of China, Xi Jinping, and the President of the United States, Joseph Biden, marked the start of the G20 summit, started on Monday on the Indonesian island of Bali. The match started at 5:30 p.m. local time with a handshake between the heads of state, and it will go down in history as the first time the leaders have met face-to-face. Although the U.S. president left Washington with warnings about his commitment to Taiwan, he has softened his tone in recent hours. Beijing, for its part, maintains its position. It invites to work together and to stable and respectful relations, reaffirming its adherence to the idea of a multipolar world. And the major economies of the G20 announced on Sunday, before their summit in Indonesia, a fund of $1.4 billion to prepare for future pandemics. During a press conference, the Indonesian President Joko Widodo explained that this fund, in which 24 countries participate, aims to prevent a pandemic and to prepare in the case one occurs again. In this sense, the Indonesian President pointed out that the amount established by the organization is not enough, estimating that $31 billion are necessary to face a situation of this nature. He also added that they should make sure that the community can resist a pandemic. A pandemic also cannot take lives and break the joints of the world's economy. The President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, assumes the presidency of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Widodo, who received the presidential gavel from the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, said that among the priorities of Indonesia's mandate will be building the Asian community and improving the group's capacity and operational efficiency. The Indonesian leader noted that efforts will also be devoted to promoting the regional bloc's relations with its partners, as well as promoting Asia's role and position in the region and the world. He also explained that commitments will be aimed to strengthening multilateralism and complying with international law in a spirit of transparency, construction, and respect for the central role of this grouping. In Uganda, an Ebola case was confirmed in the district of Jinja in the southeast of the country. This Sunday, the country's Minister of Health informed that the detected case was a 45-year-old man who died last Thursday. The contagion of the disease was confirmed after workers at the clinic where he was being treated obtained a sample from his body which tested positive for the virus. At the same time, authorities assured that epidemiological investigations and tracing of the possible positive cases have been activated. In this context, it was stated that the virus circulating in the territory belongs to the Sudan strain of Ebola, for which there are no proven vaccines, with a total of 135 confirmed cases and 53 fatalities to date. In Mozambique, President Philip Nyusi announced that the country made the first export of liquefied natural gas under the Coral Sol project in the Romuva Basin.
Today, Mozambique enters the annals of world history as one of the exporting countries of liquefied natural gas, which, in addition to representing an alternative source of supply, largely contributes to energy security in countries with the highest consumption. The realization of this international venture is a sign of the recognition by the market that Mozambique offers a stable, transparent, and predictable environment for the realization of multi-billion investments, where high technology stands out in order to monetize resources in a phase of energy transition. Therefore, it must bring pride to all Mozambicans.
And now we have a disclaimer to announce. Our Facebook page has been hacked and currently displaying content out of our agenda and against our social, moral, political, and informative premises. We stress TeleSUR English is not responsible for these posts that violate Facebook's community standards. We hope this company will give us back our credentials as soon as possible and resume our regular posts on that social network. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.